I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, as we do, if we could just remain standing and remember our men and women in the armed forces. If we could remember Karina Schmidt, longtime resident of Holland Falls, Trustee Howard's mom, for a moment.
Steve
That's what happens when you start mentioning names. Steve Crowley. Steve lived down on Villa Parkway. Thank you. Also, I want to say that this is peace officer. Police, yeah, I said peace officer. There's all kinds of different police. And this is Peace Officer Week. Started 36 years ago to remember those that fell during the line of duty. So remember that this week when you see a police officer and say thanks for what you do. Okay, so I'd like to welcome Cindy. We have one or two?
One is only here. There's
Okay.
supposed to be two, but
Okay.
this is Eric from Autocast. So he-
Just stand up for a second so everyone can hear. So introduce him, please. And then, sir, if you could come over here.
Absolutely. Here, so everyone can see.
Perfect.
This is Eric from Autocast, and he'll be a major part of the art walk, actually, I'm gonna let you talk. Go ahead.
Okay. My name's Eric Feinstein, and the product and the company is called Autocast. And for people who were familiar with the art exhibition that was done 2 years ago, it was used for that, but perhaps not as well publicized. In essence, it's a mobile audio guide that's a free download for people to use on Android and Apple devices. And what we'll be doing is the guide will have a map, effectively an interactive map of all the artworks on the guide. For each artwork, we'll have some descriptive information about the piece or the artist or something that people could read if they want to. It'll be able to give them point-to-point directions to get to it because there'll be photos and they could scroll through and they could say, oh, this particular one is really nice. How do I get there? And it'll let them see it. The app itself is a container for guides from all over the country. So there are about 100 other guides in there, some of which are across the river. We have some in Austining, some in various places in Cortland. So someone might be using it there, but then be attracted by something they see here, and hopefully that'll bring them over here. Besides the photos and the text and the directions, I'll also be working to get the artists themselves to be the ones to provide the recording, as I did last time, because they're what I call the voices of authority. They are the most expert ones who can talk about their pieces. Hopefully everyone participates. Generally it does work. And then that creates a much more engaging experience, so hopefully people then will go through and spend time with each one and each goes by. And that's generally what it's about. To date, I said about 110 guides currently exist in the app right now. It's growing every day. We're currently working on about 12. It spans the entire country, goes up into New Brunswick, Canada, Nova Scotia, and now we have one starting in Trieste, Italy. So it's expanding. So it's part of this giant network as opposed to a standalone one. So it does allow people in other places to use it to help find other things. So that's generally how it will work.
What date is the art wall opening?
July 15th.
July 15th.
That's going to be our opening ceremony.
You're going to have a ceremony?
10 o'clock in the morning. This is Saturday.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
I'm Charlie, who spoke.
Oh, yes, oh, hi. Nice to meet you.
And approximately how many pieces will there be in the town of Huntington?
15 here.
15 here.
Exactly. The app itself has over 2,000, but it's segregated by guide, by guide, by guide. And as I mentioned, the app contains multiple guides at the same time, but they sort themselves by what's closest to you. So if you're here, that will be the top of the list, so it's not a matter of searching for it.
Okay,
But if you're in Napa, California, that's at the top of the
that's,
list.
yeah.
Yeah. But they could scroll and see
Great.
Highland Falls.
Great. Okay, and so, anything else you want to add?
No, I'll answer questions, but I have no other particular items to.
Okay.
Yes.
I personally want to thank you for the price that you gave to
Ah, you're very
us.
welcome. Happy to help out.
It was a big help.
Will you be here?
I'll be here on the 15th, yeah, absolutely.
Great. And so we have another part of the presentation tonight. These folks here, who wants to speak? Okay, come over here, sir, and tell us your name and any, I think it's the car wash?
Yes, I'm
Okay, so-
representing West Point Auto Spa. My name is TJ. I'm representing the Demar family. I'm sure you heard of them in the town. We're looking to add a car show to their event. Being that it is an art walk, we are into a lot of exotic cars that get custom work done to it that represent art. Cindy reached out to me, and we decided it would be perfect, being that we're a new business here in the town, for people to know who we are. Me and my partner Nick, we are car enthusiasts since kids. And we're sure there's a lot of other guys here, especially being we're West Point, basically, that everybody represents us for. We want to incorporate cars into art. We already are involved with art galleries. Nick's cousin does art shows with sneakers, where they're going to be adding like little displays in front of each car. We're going to get a whole bunch of little guys. When I say little guys, I mean young kids, to add to the cars. So whatever, each car that's there's going to be something represented with each car representing art. As to the event, we're going to be providing food, drinks for whoever is coming by, just to see it, music, if allowed, and just something new, just to get our name out and to go towards art. My first time really, doing an event like this, so we're really, we're excited for it, but we've been part of car shows our whole life, so this is something we definitely want to bring, being that we are new to the town.
Okay, and I want to say it a little louder than you did, because we have a camera and mic back here.
Yeah, I'll start.
But you're with the car wash down here on 9W.
Yes, West Point Auto Spa, we're on 1368 Route 9W. We've heard terrible things about the place in the past. We've been in the building, made a lot of changes, and we're looking to get people from here in Highland Falls to be on our team, to grow all together. So art is, everyone gets together for art, because anybody could enjoy something nice. Why not, being that we're a local business, why not incorporate the car show with that?
Okay.
And what he's talking about too, this is going to take place on the 15th.
This is
They will
open.
be there for opening day, that's when this will be taking place.
Now, my question is, all the paperwork. We have village forms, we have liability issues,
Insurance.
insurance.
Yeah, there's quite a few
Um,
things that we're working on.
Okay.
Insurance coverage, I gotta get measurements on the space we're using,
Okay.
the amount of vehicles that are gonna be there, so they can actually give us a fair, they gotta know what they're insuring us for. Estimated amount of people, and we can all get together and see what kind of people we're looking at together, so I can get that over to the insurance company. And I think we should be good on the insurance part. I'm not sure what other requirements, it's my first time here in Highland Falls, so whatever other requirements, we're ready to go by.
Okay, so Cindy, are you working with them as far as what's required?
Basically, their event is separate from our event. They're doing it in conjunction with us at the same time. They're going to have their own insurance. They're going to fill out their own forms for the village.
Okay. So you have to come in downstairs for the forms.
Okay.
The ladies will help you.
This is our assistant Stephanie. She works with us at the car wash. She'll be interacting. I'm at the car wash that's why I'm kind of late. Sorry for the tardiness.
No.
But she'll be conducting everything, getting everything to me and Mr. Moore, and everything will be I'm not sure if you guys met him yet, but he's pretty on top of his things. He'll make sure everything gets done in a timely fashion.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the car show part? Car shows are popular, I know.
They're pretty, but we're actually we're with the Bear Mountain Car Show now, so we'll be there representing every Wednesday. So, and we're doing it for Highland Falls and West Point. So it's something to get the community involved. And a lot of the guys that do work for us right now are from the community. So, you know, it's kind of hard finding work, as you all know, but we're trying to get it together.
Great.
And where would it be? In the municipal parking lot?
Yeah.
So all I need to do on my part is I have one of my guys come get measurements, stuff like that for insurance policy, and we'll get everything to you guys as best we can.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Cindy, any last words?
I think we got it all set.
Next on the agenda is public comment on agenda items. Yes.
From the police agenda as well,
No, this is,
this agenda.
you have anything?
I have something for later.
Later. Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Every time I come here, it's a round trip of about 135 miles. This is the most recent of many dozens of trips I've made as a volunteer in service to this community with the High Point utility. So I'd like to address the agenda item regarding the High Point utility.
Just come up here, sir. Yeah, right there. I'm gonna have to put it next over here somewhere. Go ahead.
Are we on camera? I'm kind of bald. If I kind of stand like this, they can see.
You stand how you want.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, we haven't met yet, although I did see you at a Chamber of Commerce meeting a few weeks ago. And I'm very impressed by the lively work of the Chamber of Commerce and a number of civic leaders. There are a number of errors in the resolution, errors of fact, if I may address them very briefly. But first, I want to talk about why I'm here. I've long been interested in the United States Military Academy and the actions of the Department of Defense, the Department of the Army, other federal and state agencies to improve energy efficiency, clean energy. It's the business I'm in. And a number of years ago,
Sir, I'm sorry, what's your name?
Randolph Horner, H-O-R-N-E-R. Thank you, Mayor.
No.
A number of years ago, the former garrison commander, Dane Rideout, iterated a very extensive environmental study for the Army's Net Zero project. And so I acquainted myself with various people, including your predecessor, Patrick Flynn, and we talked about the way we could bring the benefits of the Army programs into a combination of the West Point garrison and the broader civilian host community, which includes, we're very proud to say, the town government. So there seem to be some misunderstandings, Mayor, that are reflected in this resolution. First of all, the High Point utility is only in a minor fashion concerned with the only clean energy asset which is potentially available for the civilian host community to collaborate with the West Point garrison. Number two, the West Point garrison, under the direction of the Secretary of the Army, is iterating a utility privatization effort which will involve as much as $200 million of investment in West Point infrastructure to run for the next 50 years. So we're at a moment in time where the work of the High Point utility on behalf of the municipality, potentially the residents, the business owners, the institutions, to work collaboratively with the Army about the energy resources that can be shared in what we call a municipal microgrid. Okay, so here are the assets.
Sir, I just want to
Yes,
do
sir.
another.
I'm going
it's
as fast as I can.
You got to go a little fast because we have. I try to hold it to 3 minutes.
Yes, sir, I appreciate
And
it.
there's, yeah.
I appreciate you
That's okay.
working with me because I'm
Yeah.
delivering a
No,
message
I know.
on behalf.
It's
Here are the kind of people who are in the High Point utility. We have a number of West Point graduates. We have a number of former Army officers. We have former faculty members of the United States Military Academy, including, in all of this, the former director of the utilities, the director of public works, whom you know quite well, Mayor, because he's pitched in on the stormwater project that you ran during a prior administration. So the point I'm getting to is that this resolution is based upon a mistaken impression that the High Point utility is some kind of make-believe entity that's solely concerned with the Budding Up Falls hydro plant.
Okay.
So, look, please, Mayor, I've come a
Well, we're
long
gonna-
way. I'm here on behalf of the board, including these leading civic citizens, to explain to you, here is what the High Point utility is doing for the community. Number one, the water supply has long been in jeopardy of long-term pollution between the source and the water intake. This was only brought into an emergency status, as you quite well know, Mayor. In January, there was a spill of 10 or 20 gallons of diesel. And then later, just weeks ago, there was a spill which has placed the municipal water supply in emergency status, 1,400 gallons. So the High Point utility has worked for a number of years about accessing grants, low-interest loans, and other state and federal resources in order to move forward with resources that were not previously addressed by the village in your administration or Mr. Flynn's administration, to the extent they now can be brought to bear on protecting the water supply. That's point number one. Point number two, our work with the West Point Garrison means that we're capable of helping to direct a large-scale expansion of natural gas service to the homes, businesses, and institutions of the civilian host community. And finally, in all this work we're doing together with the Army, we have a close collaboration with the garrison commander, Colonel Hanson, that the drafter of this resolution knows nothing about.
The
So-
drafter of what, this resolution for tonight?
The resolution for tonight.
No, you're mistaken. There's a lot that I'm going to correct that you've said. So let's wrap it up, and then eventually on the agenda is this resolution. And I'll explain more why it's there.
Well,
Okay.
Indeed you can, because you're the mayor, but there are serious mistakes. The High Point utility offered the federal power license to the village, but the village declined. That was all over with in August of 2016. The allegation in the resolution that the High Point utility is somehow trading on its relationship with the village is not true. The High Point utility is a separate, not-for-profit, public benefit entity, local development corporation, chartered under the laws of New York.
Sir, that's what the resolution says. So please, let me continue the meeting, and we'll get to this. And that's exactly what it says.
I would-
The village, no, excuse me. All due respect, believe me, it's a little long now. Everyone else gets 3 minutes, and now they're going to say to me, well, that guy got 10. And I can't do that. It's hard to tell someone that, okay? But that's what this resolution is, once we get down to it. I want to make sure that the people in the village of Highland Falls know that the village government, these guys, village government, elected by the people, the village of Highland Falls has nothing to do with High Point Utility. We have nothing to do with High Point Utility. We have nothing to do with sewer, wastewater coming to us. West Point's wastewater will not come to the village of Highland Falls wastewater plant, nor will our wastewater travel north to their plant. This just came out today. This is downstairs for everyone to see. That's why they sent it up. There's one at the town hall, if you feel comfortable. There's one at the library. And we got ours today. And there's other ones. They got them across the river in Phillipstown and maybe Cold Springs. There's a list in here. They're moving forward, as they should, with building their own wastewater treatment plant. That's what this is. So no wastewater is coming this way, nor is any of our wastewater which happens to be, is John here? No, that's too bad. The best wastewater treatment plant operator on the Hudson River, and that's just not my opinion, that's a fact. Nor is ours going there. The water that doesn't belong to us. It belongs to the village of Highland Falls. We, generations back, have put a lot of money into that water, having that water, a lot. It's not for sale. We're not giving it to High Point Utility or any other entity, related or not related to High Point Utility. All right? We're not building an electrical grid. Now, anything that High Point Utility wants to do, anything that some other company wants to do, they're welcome to, this is America, do whatever they want within the law, but not with our utilities, not with ours. That's not gonna happen. And I know the garrison commander. I know them all. They're good friends. And what you're stating is a different story than what they tell me. Now, one day if you want, we can go together and let's see who says what in the room.
Well, you
But
know,
I'm just saying to you, they say different.
in
They say different.
concluding this discussion,
Mhm.
this resolution, if enacted, could severely impact and impair the access of the civilian host community as an entire community, including village and town, to resources that have never yet been addressed by your administration in the past. They were first addressed by Mr. Flynn's administration, and so what you're saying is that you don't want to have the benefit of what is equivalent to hundreds
No.
of thousands of dollars.
Don't say that. Don't scare. Don't scare the people.
Nobody's
Right,
scared.
That's not going to happen. Because of the great relationship that we have with West Point, believe me, we won't be in the dark. We're not going to be left in the dark. Believe me when I tell you that.
Appreciate the chance to
Okay,
bring
thank you
forth
very
these
much.
assets. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, department head, Charlie, would you do the building? Do you have it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll try to summarize a little bit. In total, there were 17 permit-related inspections or issues, and 2 certificates of completion or compliance and C of Os. There were 45 inspections, 14 advisory or violation notices issued, for a total of 67 physical inspections. Well, that's just a cursory explanation of their activities this past month. I do want to point to some questions that were raised by the public. 3 violations were issued to people, businesses, 3 different businesses for what are called feather flags.
Yeah.
And apparently our code prohibits these flag signs. It turned out McDonald's has one flying. The building department was not aware of McDonald's, so I suspect that they will be asked to take theirs down too. But if there is any desire to allow feather flags in the village, that can be addressed, but currently it is not allowed. We have a number of violations coming up under business later. And one of my colleagues had questioned the consistency of enforcement on the maintenance violations. And I do want to point out that there were only 2 of the violations were not repeat offenders, and virtually all of them are vacant buildings. Moreover, there is a process that will enable people to remediate the situation in a fair way. There's a 3-week period between the first advisory notice and the issuing of a violation. And then the individual has, I believe, approximately 5 and this time of year, they allow an even longer period of time to fix it before this public hearing. Because primarily we've had a lot of spring rain and they want to be fair. So later in the meeting, when we get to all of those violations, just be aware that there is a process and it does provide for a timely remediation before it gets here. That's it.
Yeah, they're pretty lenient, and they'll easily go for an extension.
Under the right set of
Yeah.
circumstances. But there are a lot of properties out there that have been let go, trash accumulating, grass growing, to pasture heights. So we've got to get a grip on it.
And I've asked the chamber to look at, we're busy, to look at the codes, in particular what pertains to Main Street business owners, to see if there's anything we want to maybe put in there, or maybe allow that's in there that's prohibited today. Okay. All right, also, got more?
At some point, I would like to address the emergency management but I can wait till everyone else goes.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, just very quickly, on May 3rd, the Emergency Management Preparedness Committee for the town and village met. It's now being chaired by Mrs. Lent from the Fort Montgomery Fire Department. And it was an excellent meeting. One of the items discussed was the use of buildings in the town and village for shelters in emergencies. The two fire departments right now should be made available as warming centers for short-term sheltering. We do not have shower, kitchen, and generator facilities, so that is being looked at for the potential of a longer-term need for a shelter. We don't have the magical confirmation yet. The train derailment in Newburgh, New Windsor, and our overturned oil tank truck raised some serious concerns for preparedness, and the next meeting on July 12th will have a presentation on train derailments. And the committee is actively working on preparations for addressing that. One other item of concern was an assessment of Highland Falls PD, the police department, and the limitations in communicating with other agencies. And there has been an agreement struck with the police department where they will be utilizing handheld radios borrowed from the fire department as needed to provide that interoperability. Moreover, a grant that will be enabling all of our agencies to upgrade our radio system countywide is in the works, so that issue should be ameliorated soon too. And that's it.
Thank you, Charlie. Okay, on the fire department report, I see the chief is here. Is there anything you want to add, chief, to this?
No, I believe the report's.
It is, it's good.
Yeah.
So you're asking for permission to take 430 and car 2 to attend a wet down in Stony Point on June 3, and then a wet down in Monroe on June 10. And also requesting 430 and car 1 to attend the Hudson Valley Volunteer Firemen's Convention and Parade in Lake George on June 15th to 18th. West Point Fire Department will be in place or automatic responses to assume coverage here. And so that'll come on under new business, okay? You have a little note in here about your budget. Thank you very much. And responses for the month: gas leaks, automatic alarms, mutual aid. Training is always number 1 down there. Number 2, I know you guys are good at grants and you're putting in for some of those. And then I see the pictures here from Family Fun Night. The fire department's always a hit. Thanks.
Thank you.
Anything else that you want to add?
No, I mean, you said the building department, and I usually note it, we work well. There was one referral, but You know, we get it to Bruce and he acts right away, so we're happy with that relationship.
Thank you. Merv?
For the police, school, lengthy, you want to read off this here first, Joe, and then
No.
okay.
No.
For the incident summary, arrest made, felonies 5, misdemeanors 13, violations 5, total arrest was 23. Summons issued, parking meters tickets was 24, traffic 73. That's a total of 97. Revenues collected, meter collection was $1,625, that's $1,625. Meter ticket fees was $75, village ticket fees $1,250, recorded fees $16. Total revenues was $2,966. Just a little information for everybody about the police department. I've been working on interest of revenue for the police department, which is parking tickets, traffic infractions, and the meters. Right now, the police department is getting very organized from dispatch, offices, weapons, interrogation room for detectives, locker rooms, and minor areas throughout the police department. If anybody's been along Main Street, if you looked at the meters out there, the consultant Ken Scott has been also working on the meters, lenses. He's done a whole area out here right now. And also, we're working on getting the police department back to full strength. Just a couple notes too, with the warmer weather coming out there, we just want to remind everybody that the warmer weather does bring speeding, running through stop signs and all of that. And just to note that there's a lot of children that are out there, and we got to watch out of those kids. So in the next meeting that we have here, we will be bringing up about stop signs and speeding throughout the community. There's something that I would like the mayor to read, because I was actually on this call, and this is just great information of something that occurred here in the village of Pound Falls. So I'm going to let Joe read that.
Thank you, Merv. So this is a press release dated the 12th of May, 2017. And many of you had heard probably by now about a lady, a senior citizen, kind of missing from her home and wandering probably. I was at a meeting when that call came in, and I left with the Chief of Police, Ken Scott, and we started to go over the streets. The Fort Montgomery, the Highland Falls Police Department was on different streets, and then other agencies from Fort Montgomery to New York State came, some with canine dogs. But I'll read so it was just a great response by everyone. On May 11, 2017, around 4:17 p.m., an 85-year-old female with Alzheimer's disease was reported missing. Last seen in the Ondeora Park area in Highland Falls around 3:30. The Highland Falls Police conducted an extensive search with the assistance from the Highland Falls Dispatch, the Highland Falls Fire Department, the Town of Highlands Police, Orange County Sheriff's K-9, New York Park Police and their K-9, New York State Police Aviation, Westchester County K-9, and the New York State Missing Persons Clearinghouse. And last, but certainly not least, the residents of Highland Falls. At around 11:57 p.m., close to midnight, John Kresbach reported hearing a female voice from next door. Sergeant Jason Torpy and Officer Beatty arrived on scene and located the missing 85-year-old female in a wooded area between two buildings. She was transported by the Town of Highlands Ambulance Corps to an area hospital for further evaluation. So, you know, I had gotten some complaints the next day about a helicopter. If you hear a helicopter at night, like 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning, you can rest assured there's something, an emergency. Could be a medevac. More than likely it is a medevac. But this time it was a missing person. So just don't get nervous. Nothing's happening. The Russians aren't coming. And it's our guys in the sky taking care of business. That's all I can say. Now, you have more?
I do have.
All right, let me just say one more thing.
Go ahead, Joe.
This is a perfect example. This is a perfect example of how emergency services work together. Eric, you know that. You're down in New York City, you're here in Highland Falls. Response here from our brothers and sisters through mutual aid is second to none. Okay, it works, it works. And I'm sure the public has heard stories, rumors, whatever word you want to put on it, between the Highland Falls Police Department and the Town of Highlands Police Department. Whether they're true or they're not true. This man right here has been assigned to take care of that, to bring these departments back together. But they came together. So in an emergency, they come together. In an emergency, they come together. It's the off time we're going to work on. Maybe a little bit is our fault. Maybe a little bit is their fault. You know, we don't know. But and that doesn't even matter. You're going to put it back together again. Okay? I've said for months now, Humpty Dumpty fell and he broke in the police department. And thanks for your leadership in bringing it back together, little by little. It's going to take time. It took a long time to undo it. It's going to take a little time to put it back together again.
It's moving.
It's moving. So I just want the public to be aware. Something happens, you can rest assured all the men and women from all these agencies come together. Whether they like one another or not, that doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. I've seen it for 40 years with the Highland Falls Police Department. I've seen it here in my term as mayor. They come together, and that's the important part.
And for Mr. Cressback, thank you.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, again, I was on that call, and that night, it was cold out. It was very cold. I don't know. I just don't know.
You're right.
If he didn't hear it, I don't know. For recreation, just to get everybody moving on recreation a little bit, summer rec program signups are now taking place. It runs through June 27th to August 11th. Cost is $100 per child, $75 each additional child in the same household. Taking sign-ups now for swim lessons, second session, June 26th to July 14th, and July 17th, August 14th. The new youth summer basketball program called Jam Time, we're looking at running July 10th through August 18th. I will run Monday through Friday, 3:15, 4:45 at Roe Park. Coach Marcus Blackwell would be teaching throughout the game and practices and drills. Cost of the program is $25. And incidentally, right now, I am really moving forward on having that basketball court repaved. I made a very, very good connection today. I want that thing to look professional up there. We are starting a new outdoor, with Jam Time and the regular summer league. The goal is to run practices every day with 2 games per week, so between 3:15 and 7 p.m. Kids will have structured basketball activities throughout the summer. We are coordinating with Dial a Bus to provide pickups and drop-off times for teenagers to go back and forth to Long Pond for the summer. We are offering a season pass of $20. The thought is that parents can buy a pass for their children and they can save on money. Men's softball is underway, and women's softball should be starting up mid-June. Any woman looking to join the teams, call the recreation department. Lacrosse program is still going on Sunday afternoons. Anyone interested can register at the rec office. Long Pond opens weekends, May 27th. It will open every day starting June 24th. Hours are 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. with the swimming area open from 10:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. And just lastly, I see Jim here from the chamber. The signs are moving. The signs are moving, and that's going to say there's actually 4 signs. And I'll be at your chamber meeting, and I'll talk with you on that more. That's it.
A lot of this will be on Channel 23, correct?
Yes.
Let's wait until public comment, please.
Sure. I didn't know if there was a section for just questions.
Yeah. No? Brian, you have anything?
What, DPW?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a question of trucks and the vehicle brought up about having them for the winter season, making sure that we're ready to go by the winter. That was brought up to me.
You mean the purchase of trucks?
Yes.
Yeah. We can't do anything until June 1.
Right.
and then we'll,
Right.
All right, so I got a couple of quick things. Water department and the sewer department generally give us a lot of information that bores the people in here. So if you want to look at their reports, we'd be more than happy to share them with you. But as far as the water department, I'll just give you some brief stuff that they're doing. They're working on the plan for some tank maintenance up there. Also, there's some house service lines that they have been working on. Those are some leaks that are outside of the houses, and they're being addressed. They're working in cooperation with the DPW to take care of those problems. And they're also working on a fire hydrant repair on South Street. So those are some of their main topics that they're working on right now in the water department, besides everything else that they do. Also, the sewer department is continuing to work on plans for the belt filter press and the digester heat exchange, something that was talked about in the previous administration and in the budget workshops. And that's going to look to save the taxpayers some money, so they're continuing to move along with that.
actually, a lot of money. Okay, thanks, Jim.
Sure.
All right, moving on with the agenda, approve the minutes. You have the minutes from the last meeting. Take a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion by trustee Murphy, second by trustee Livesey. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, now we have the property maintenance. There's 8 of them. And so, is there anyone here representing 6 Cooks Lane, 117 Center, 10 Muller, 72 Mountain, 128 Mountain, 29 Klutz, and 6 Hickory? Is there anyone here representing them?
138 Burns. Was Burns taken out? 138?
There was three properties.
I don't have merged, so what is it?
138 Burns?
Does anyone have that in their packet? Would you have 138? No. You do.
I got it too.
All right. So here, and 138 Murns. Now, I will tell you that looking at these before the meeting, they're all for the same violation. Property maintenance. Condition observed, if you look at each one of them, observed overgrowth on every single one of them, if you look.
So are any of these repeat?
I don't know if they would be repeat at this point of the year, Merv.
I mean, with the prior board, you...
Oh, there are some repeats
Addresses?
Yeah,
from last year?
yeah.
Okay.
They were issued violations previously.
And how often are these issued? Like, in other words, how often do we get the, it's just like every 3 months or every 2 months?
We get them as they give them out.
They'll be coming probably every meeting, or at least once a month.
So these been going on for a year, these ones here?
Well, no, they've gotten violations. Most of them are vacant buildings. They're probably in bank possession. So the bank is not having the grass cut. They look terrible. They devalue the houses near them. So this is an effort on our part to get the bank or whoever is holding the title to act and to start maintaining them.
So can the village send, and then, yeah? Yeah, there you go.
And then we get it from them.
We charge them.
Yeah. That's how this is done. They don't show up tonight. If any of these folks showed up tonight and said, can I have another week, another 2 weeks, probably they would get that. Sometimes that's what happens. Tonight, there's no one here from any of these properties. You'll see that some of them are absentee landlords, not all. So, what is your wish on these? At this point, the building department has played with them for quite a while. That's what they do before this ends up.
Well, I would say send out the landscapers, as long as we have the proper place to bill them.
Correct, Jan?
Yeah, you would have to do the resolutions on every one of these properties that allows that to happen, and then we bill them, and then if they don't pay the bill, it goes on their property tax. So there's a resolution attached with every notice, and that's,
So just a quick question though, so this property here, 6 Cooks Lane, we send a landscaper up there, he cuts the grass. I've cut my grass, I don't know how many times already, but this weather we've had. So next week, does the landscaper go back up, do we send him back up there?
No,
No, no.
that's
Or do we have to
another
go through,
violation.
we have to go through this? and-
Yeah.
And in response to your earlier comment, all but 2 are repeat violators.
Which are the 2?
That I don't know, but the 2 that are new are also vacant properties.
Okay, so we have some reading to do. Village of Highland Falls Board of Trustees resolution concerning violation of property location 138 Mearns Avenue, 105, 118. Whereas longstanding violations of the Village Property Maintenance Law, Chapter 170 of the Village of Highland Falls Code has existed at 138 Mearns, designated on the tax map as 105-1-18. Whereas the property owner has been given due notice of said violation and has been directed to correct the violations, and whereas the property owner was given due notice of a public hearing to be held by the trustees on May 15, 2017 at 7 p.m. to determine whether the violations have been properly remedied and whether to order the corrective action be undertaken by the village to correct said violations at the property owner's cost and expense, to bill said cost and expense to the property owner, and to levy same against the property. And whereas a public hearing was duly held by the Board of Trustees on the 15th of May, 2017, and whereas the owner did not appear, and whereas the owner or owners have not taken steps to correct the violation, and the violation still exists, and whereas the Board of Trustees is authorized pursuant to Section 170-6 of the Property Maintenance Law to authorize that the village undertake to remedy such violation at the property owner's cost and expense. Now, I want you to, before we do a motion, there's more. Now therefore be it resolved that the village, its contractors or agents shall enter upon the property to correct the violations of that all costs incurred by the village, including administrative, legal, and corrective costs, be charged to the property owner, and such charge shall be added to the tax bill of the property owner, if not paid within 30 days of notification to the last known address of the property owner as shown on the village tax records. Now, what I would like you to do, is Elise here? Is she over there, Gina? Elise?
No, not yet.
Because she said she would be late. Instead of reading each one, they're identical to the word. And so let's, I will ask you to pass this, and we'll verify with Elise when she gets here that that was permitted to be done under the law. And we can table it until she gets here and come back, because I'd rather have it that way, and if it's
Yeah.
not, we'll read each one. So we'll table the one that I just read for 138 Mearns Avenue, and we'll table the rest of them until our attorney arrives. Thank you. Resolution to introductory local law amending Chapter 106 of the Village. Village of Highland Falls, introductory local law amending Chapter 106 of the Village Code. Be it enacted by the Village Board of Trustees of the Village of Highland Falls, County of Orange, State of New York as follows. Section 1, legislative intent. The Village of Highland Falls Board of Trustees hereby finds and determines that it is in the interest of the residents of the village to modify the local law governing the application for the issuance of fishing and boat permits to provide the board additional flexibility to modify the application and fee structure. Section 2, the authority. This local law is enacted by the Board of Trustees pursuant to its authority to adopt local laws under the New York State Constitution and Section 10 of the Municipal Home Rule Law. Section 3, the scope. This local law shall apply to all fishing and boat permits. Section 4. Chapter 106, titled Fishing and Boat Permits of the Code of the Village of Highland Falls is hereby amended as follows. Section 106-1, titled Permits Available, shall be deleted in its entirety and replaced with the following. 106-1, Fishing Permit Required. A fishing permit issued by the village clerk shall be required to fish in the water supply system of the Village of Highland Falls. B, permits shall be available for 1 year, beginning June 1 through May 31. That's one of the big changes in this local law. It used to be January to December, now it'll be June 1 to May 31 of each year. A permit application and fee schedule shall be established by resolution of the Board of Trustees and modified in the same manner from time to time, and may include schedules of fees, fines, duties, and responsibilities of permitters. D, permitters shall be subject to the conditions set forth in this chapter. Failure to adhere to the conditions shall result in forfeiture of the permit and fines as set forth herein. Section 102, titled Applicant Requirements, shall be deleted in its entirety and replaced with the following. 106-2, permit required. An applicant for a fishing permit, A, shall be a resident of the town of Highlands. B, shall be licensed by the State of New York Conservation Department. Section 106.5, titled Boats, shall be deleted in its entirety and replaced with the following. 106-5, responsibility of permitters who use boats while fishing in the water supply system of the Village of Highland Falls. A, only manual operated or electrical operated boats shall be allowed in the water supply system of the Village of Highland Falls. B, the boat owner shall have sole responsibility for the boat in compliance with these regulations. C, the owner shall be jointly responsible for removing the boat from the water and taking it away from the area at the end of each fishing day. Failure to remove the boat may be cause for denial of a permit the following year. D, boats not removed by the owner may be removed by the village and impounded at the owner's sole expense. Section 106-7, titled Provisions Subject to Amendments, is hereby deleted in its entirety, and the following sections are renumbered accordingly. Section 5, supersession of inconsistent laws, if any. The village board hereby declares its legislative intent to supersede any provisions of the local law, rule, or regulation, and any provisions of the state, local law, or other special law that may be declared inconsistent or in conflict with this local law. Section 6. If any section, part, or provision of this local law or the application thereof to any person, property, or circumstances is adjudged invalid by any court of competent jurisdiction, such judgment shall be confined in its operation to the section, part, provisions, or applications directly and expressly adjudged invalid, and shall not affect or impair the validity of the remainder of the local law or the application thereof. Section 7, effective date. The local law shall take effect immediately upon the filing with the Secretary of State. I know that was a lot. Again, I think the highlight there, which should be the permit, will be, or you get your key now on June 1 to May 31. Village of Highland Falls Resolution amending Chapter 106 of the Village Code. Be it resolved that the introductory local law amending Chapter 106 of the Village Code be and is hereby introduced by Mayor D'Onofrio before the Board of Trustees of the Village of Highland Falls, County of Orange, State of New York. And be it further resolved that copies of the proposed local law be laid upon the desk of each member of the Board of Trustees. And be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees shall hold a public hearing on said proposed local law at the Town Hall, 254 Main Street, Highland Falls, New York, at 7 p.m. on June 5th, 2017. Be it further resolved that the village clerk shall publish or cause to be published a public notice in the official newspaper of the Village of Highland Falls no later than 10 days prior thereto. So I'll make the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by trustee Livesey. The resolution, we'll take a vote and see if it's adopted. We could have roll call, please?
Trustee Alward,
Aye.
trustee Livesey,
Aye.
trustee Ramus,
Aye.
trustee Murphy,
Aye.
Mayor D'Onofrio.
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you. Resolution to relevy unpaid sewer bills from June to December of 2016. So these are folks that didn't pay their sewer bill, which is twice a year, they didn't pay it either time. Whereas the Village of Highland Falls has 229 delinquent sewer accounts in the amount of $110,659.91 remaining unpaid, including late fees and charges from June and December of 2016 sewer billing. Now therefore be it resolved that no further payments will be accepted after May the 12th, 2017, and any and all unpaid sewer accounts for the year 2016 be re-levied onto the 2017-2018 village taxes. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Howard. May I have roll call?
Trustee Alward,
Aye.
trustee Livesey,
Aye.
trustee Ramus,
Aye.
trustee Murphy,
Aye.
Mayor D'Onofrio.
Oh, did you
Go ahead.
vote?
Aye. Motion carried. Go ahead.
When these are re-levied, if they're not paid, does the county make us whole? Yeah, thanks.
Yes, they do. Next, we have a resolution, financial resolution to transfer reserve funds. Now, these amounts that you see down here that I'll read, they're there. They're there because we included them in the budget. But we need to do the resolution to legally have them there. If I can just say it that way. Whereas the Village of Highland Falls, the village, wishes to the extent prudent to set aside from the budget lines not fully used certain sums to provide for future stability of operations, protecting taxpayers from unforeseen needs. And whereas the village, by demonstrating its financial health, will benefit from borrowing at more attractive interest rates. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the village makes the following outlays from the 2016-2017 budget to provide reserves as follows. Transfer the following allocations in the budget. To the Village Hall Repair Reserve, $10,000. To the Fire Department Equipment Reserve, $20,000. The Fire Department Truck Reserve Engines, $10,000. Fire Department Truck Reserve Command Vehicle, $5,000. Police Department Vehicle Reserve, $0. Water Department Vehicle Reserve, $10,000. Sewer Department Vehicle Reserve, $10,000. And that's a total of $65,000. Transfer funds category A through E above to line A 0000.09262. Transfer funds category F above to line F 0000.0962. Transfer fund category G above to line G 0000.0962. All transferred to be deposited in accordance with the present village investment policy into the reserved accounts hereby established. May I have a motion?
I have a question.
Sure.
I thought we put something away for the police department.
I
Well,
think we used it.
Yeah.
This is for the budget we're finishing up. And we
16, 17.
we used everything in reserve to buy a vehicle.
Okay, all right.
I'd be happy to move it.
Yes, so trustee, a motion by trustee Murphy, is there a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Livesey, may I have roll call?
Trustee Allard?
Aye.
Trustee Livesey?
Aye.
Trustee Ramus?
Aye.
Trustee Murphy?
Aye.
Mayor D'Onofrio?
Aye. Motion carries. Okay. All right, next is a resolution concerning the Village of Highland Falls High Point Utility Local Development Corporation. Village of Highland Falls Board of Trustees, resolution concerning the Village of Highland Falls High Point Utility Local Development Corporation. Whereas the Village of Highland Falls Board of Trustees desires to clarify, articulate its position on the formation and the continuation of the entity known as the Village of Highland Falls High Point Utility Local Development Corporation. And whereas, to its knowledge, the Village Board of Trustees did not authorize the formation of the High Point Utility Local Development Corporation for any purpose whatsoever. And whereas the High Point Utility Local Development Corporation was formed on May 8, 2015 by an individual or individuals acting independently of the Village Board of Trustees pursuant to Section 1411 of New York State not-for-profit law. And whereas it came to the board's attention that several documents had been filed with the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, known as FERC, claiming that the village had interest in assuming co-ownership of the Hudson Valley Utility Local Development Corporation of the FERC license, allowing hydroelectric power to be generated by a facility located on the Buttermilk Falls. And whereas on August the 15th, 2016, the Board of Trustees resolved that the village had no interest in the Buttermilk Falls project and instructed the village attorney to file a notice of withdrawal from FERC stating that the Village of Highland Falls has no interest in and is not prepared to accept Buttermilk Falls FERC license from the current holder, John A. Dotson, or any other entity, including but not limited to the High Point Utility Local Development Corporation. The notice of withdrawal was duly filed by FERC on August 22, 2016 by the village attorney. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village of Highland Falls Board of Trustees hereby finds and determines that it is in the best interest of the residents of the village that the Board of Trustees affirmatively state, again, that it does not support projects identified thus far by the High Point Utility Local Development Corporation, including the attempt to expand the village's wastewater treatment plant to treat wastewater from West Point, or the generation of sale of electricity from the hydroelectric facility located on Buttermilk Falls, if and when the facility becomes operational. I make the motion. Is there a second?
Discussion?
Yes.
Okay. This is a huge project. This is huge. And I've spoken to the attorney today. In the past couple of weeks, I've spoken to different people about this project. There is a lot to understand on this, for good, for bad. I know that the town board welcomed this. I don't know in what kind of perspective that they welcomed it, the project.
Well, I have nothing to do with it, actually.
Right, but I don't know how they, that's actually gonna work. I haven't spoken to Bill Etzel on that, Councilman Etzel. And again, I spoke to the attorney today. We went back and forth for a while on this here. Also, the other point is that I've asked if if we do move forward in our action on this resolution, can this ever come back? Can we entertain this again? I wish Elise was here.
Well, Merv, let me try to answer something that you just said. We're not involved in this.
Right.
Now,
Yeah,
last month,
right,
last year,
right.
so we're just making it
I got you. I get you.
And actually, it's already even been done by the previous board
Right.
here in minutes.
It's actually, for, if you're talking strictly hydro, it's been taken care of in regards to Buttermilk Falls. The value of a FERC license is enormous. The school board, a member of the school board had approached Mr. Dodson about hydropower. Further up the stream, you could generate 7 times the power.
Right.
And it's a question, do we just let the FERC license go and probably never have an opportunity to revisit
Who
it?
owns the FERC license? The village doesn't.
Well, it was offered to the village, or the High Point utility made.
Trustee Murphy, the High Point.
No, excuse me, no, I can't do it that way.
I'm
I can't-
clarifying what
I can't do it that way,
she
sir.
looked at me.
Sir, she looked at me, I can't do it that way. I gotta have a structured meeting, and that's the way we're gonna do it.
I'm just offering
Okay,
to
I
answer a
appreciate it.
question.
I appreciate it, I appreciate it. Pat Flynn, you have something to say? You're whispering over here.
I was actually looking at trustee
Yeah, you wanna tell
Lindsay, saying if you don't have all the information, you can table it to the next meeting where you can get more information from the High Point utility, seeing that it seems it's not on here, including there's some false statements on the resolution itself that you may not be aware of.
And what would that be?
Well, the one saying that the previous board didn't support the formation of the High Point utility, one. And it is correct that, I'm not sure why you're doing the separation, because it's always been said from day one, this is a separate entity on its own. The High Point utility is looking to accept the
Okay.
license, not the village.
What did you just say that, about FERC in the village?
I said the license would be accepted by the High Point utility, not the village.
That's correct. The village has nothing to do with this.
Correct, and that's always been stated
At a
from the
board
beginning.
meeting, at the board's meeting, regular meeting on August the 15th, 2016, the village attorney was authorized to withdraw all documents filed with FERC by the Village of Highland Falls with regards to Project 7656. Council was further directed to inform FERC that the Village of Highland Falls has no interest in and is not prepared to accept Buttermilk Falls FERC license. So that was done. So this resolution is not about not accepting FERC. That's not what this is. If you want to read it again, that's fine.
Basically,
Excuse me. It's not funny, Pat. It definitely, excuse me.
What's not funny? What's not funny,
You're
Joe?
laughing.
what's not funny?
You laughing.
My laughing actually is funny. What's funny is the way you're running the
Okay,
meeting.
go ahead. Go ahead, Charlie.
Well, the resolution seems unnecessary in terms, the wastewater treatment plant is a done deal as far as West Point is concerned. They're going to put
They're gonna
it
build their own.
in the flood plain, yes.
They're gonna, well, wherever they wanna build it, they're gonna build it.
So that's off the table completely.
That, not to interrupt you, that is, I'm good with that. That's, okay,
It's done.
right.
It doesn't have to be in this resolution, and the board has articulated the position on the hydropower. But if this resolution goes further, in my view, it makes it sound like we don't want to support any efforts by the High Point utility, and that could be cutting our nose
Where,
off to
show me, Charlie, so I don't read the whole thing.
the formation, well,
I don't think it does that, but,
because there are a lot of things that they are exploring that could, you pointed out that our O&R bill this month was over $12,000. The High Point utility is looking at ways to save the village money.
the High Point utility, at least I'm glad you're here too, the High Point utility can, it's its own entity, correct?
Yes,
Has nothing to do with the village.
that's correct.
And,
It's true, but they are working to potentially benefit the village.
Well, you see, that's the point for myself. I need to research and find out exactly what they've been doing to try to benefit the village.
Okay.
I don't know yet.
All right.
You know, I don't.
Have a meeting with John Dotson, he'll tell you everything.
Well-
And then let's get together again. All right?
I just, if you don't mind.
No, are you
Is
kidding
that
me?
fine with the board
No.
members that we?
I'm totally okay with it, because
Okay.
as I said
Yeah.
before, the Village of Highland Falls has nothing to do with, and I want this understood, with the High Point Utility, LDC.
That's
We have nothing to do with it.
Right.
They're not gonna use our wastewater, they're not gonna use our water, they're not gonna use anything.
I'm all good with all of
I'm
that.
fine, okay. So
Well,
we'll
they
take-
can't
what do you want
without
to do?
village board specific
Right.
action.
Go ahead.
Okay, so Murph, you're gonna be speaking with Mr. Dotson, there's a few things that you should
Well,
probably
it-
ask.
Not to interrupt you, but it's not gonna only be Mr. Dodson. There's a couple people at West Point I wanna speak to. I wanna make sure that I'm 100% positive on this before I make any kind of motion on this. Right now, I'm not 100% positive. And again, I'm sure prior board and people out there listening probably have no idea what we're even talking about up here. Okay? But this here, if there is a benefit for the residents, not only the village, but Fort Montgomery, I want to make sure we can grab that. And I can't, when I was on town board, I can't stand tabling projects. I can't stand doing that. But right now, I'm not comfortable to make a motion. I don't know if you're exactly comfortable.
No, we had done this last time. We said, we're not part of you. We will give you no resources, no refunds. And the gentleman raised the question of, well, we can help the village. I said, that's really great, but we're not gonna give you any money. We're not gonna give you any resources.
That's actually, you can't,
Right.
unless you have a contract with the
Right.
LDC.
But that's what we agreed on.
And I agree with that.
We agree that. If you want to do something great for the village, please be my guest. But there'll be no economics sharing from the village to that.
And if I'm correct on what we spoke with before, even though if this was to be passed, our door's always open to welcome this back in, is that correct?
I think that if any organization comes to the village with cost-saving opportunity, the board can always look at that.
This won't be.
Right.
And I think the
Not allowed.
resolution states something like "at this time." I'm trying to remember the exact wording of it, but
But at least, what does this resolution do that hasn't already been done previously?
it doesn't do anything related to FERC. This just recounts that a withdrawal was made to FERC. Okay, so that, that's what has happened at this point in time, so that's in the resolution. Okay, and I think if you look at the language, it does specifically state that it does not support projects identified thus far by High Point. That's thus far. So that would be specifically FERC, which has already been withdrawn, and wastewater treatment, which I guess is in limbo somewhere.
Well,
No,
it's
Or
done.
down.
No, it's done.
I don't know.
They're building their own, that's right.
Now, if High Point or any other entity comes to this board, or a new board with a great idea, this doesn't keep you from investigating that.
So then we're going to table it then until we get more information. Is that what you're saying, Mark?
I'd like to.
Yeah.
And John, I'm sorry, Jimmy, you had something you wanted to say too.
Yeah, I got 13 questions.
That's okay, read 'em.
That are site-specific to...
Can you see that? Sorry, everyone.
While you're reading that, Murph,
Go ahead.
Elise, I want to ask you something. We have 8 property maintenance tonight to act on. they're all the exact same code. They're all the exact same conditions observed. They're quite lengthy resolutions. Can one be done for all?
One can be done for all, but I would advise the board to read out
Each,
each name and property
Okay.
address.
okay.
Ask if anyone is here.
And we did, yeah, but I'll do it again. Okay.
Okay.
Did you get an answer on these? Okay, so can we table, me and Jim will work on this, getting answers?
Absolutely.
These are valid.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I will, can I just see it for a second? Because I'll get you in to see the garrison commander anytime that he has an opening and you guys want to go in there. He's someone you really need to talk to.
Well, who'd develop those
And then,
questions?
he did,
Based on,
based on his knowledge. You want to look at them? I mean, they're good questions.
Gina, when is the next meeting?
Our next meeting is June 5th.
There's the warrant too.
Okay, before June 5th.
Yeah, and we might even have to table it beyond that,
Okay.
you know. Okay? Yeah. So, we're gonna table this, Gina, till June 5th.
Motion,
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
second.
Seconded by trustee Howard, all in favor?
Thank you.
My main purpose was to let the folks know in this community that we have nothing to do with High Point Utility.
Absolutely.
And our sewer's not going that way, and their sewer's not coming this way.
And I agree 100%.
And the water belongs to the residents of the village of Highland Falls.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't care.
I just had a couple of these.
Yeah, that's good. Those are good questions, you're right. Thank you, Jimmy, you'll have them back. You have anything else? No, that's it. Oh, okay. We'll get that back for you. Okay, next, let's go back to the property maintenance and get rid of these. And so, is there anyone here, again, from 138 Mern, 6 Cooks Lane, 117 Center Street, 10 Muller Avenue, 72 Mountain Avenue, 128 Mountain Avenue, 29 Clytes Avenue, 6 Hickory. So, I read the resolution on the record, just from the first one. And it's,
So you went through those at the beginning of the meeting as well?
yeah, we did this, and then we knew you were coming, and we didn't know if we could legally do them all at once.
Yeah,
So we
if-
tabled
If
it.
it's the same resolution, so long as everyone in the audience,
Yeah.
and you've read them out twice now.
It's
on-
exactly the same resolution for each one, and I will add again in the resolution, whereas long-standing violations of the village property maintenance law, chapter 170 of the village of Highland Falls Code has existed at 138 Merms, 6 Cooks Lane, 117 Center, 10 Muller, 72 Mountain Avenue, 128 Mountain, 29 Clytes, and 138. I think I'm saying 138 twice.
6 Cooks, the other one.
6 Cooks, okay. So, it's for all of those addresses that I just read, designated as tax map for each one. We had a public hearing, May 15th, 7 PM. No one is here. Can we,
Did you close the public hearing, sir?
no. So if we could close the public hearing with a motion,
Motion to close.
second by Merv, all in favor? You have something you want to say? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Now let's, back in regular meeting, make a motion to accept these notices of violation and the order to remedy each one at each address that I read. Correct, Elise? Nobody wants to hear me read these. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by trustee, are you comfortable?
I just, it's just, this bothers me a little bit because this has been going on so long, and we're gonna find a landscaper to cut the grass, and then we're gonna go back at this again, and I just don't think those two houses next to these people, it's fair to those.
No, it's not fair.
They have to put up with this week
It's not.
after week after week
Yeah.
after week. Are they also getting a fine on this too,
I believe there's.
Charlie?
Well, we charge them additional costs, administrative, and, yes, so they are charged more than just cutting the grass.
Until we get tough on this, you're gonna see these, I'm not gonna tell you at every meeting, but you're gonna see them often. Now, when I say these, I don't mean, I'm not saying these particular addresses, although maybe, but you're gonna see them quite often from different residences in the village of Highland Falls.
Well, that'll be a discussion for the.
Yeah. And I gotta wait.
Well, you said, is anyone interested?
Board.
Oh, board-wise, not people-wise. Okay.
Okay, so could I have a motion?
We have a motion.
Did we do it?
We have a motion, we're
Okay.
waiting on a second. We have a
Okay.
motion by the,
Mr. Howard seconded. All, roll call?
trustee Alward,
Aye.
trustee Livesey,
Aye.
trustee Ramus,
Aye.
trustee Murphy,
Aye.
Mayor D'Onofrio.
Aye. Motion carried.
Jim? You want to put my name on that, too? I'm gonna copy.
Charlie, you may want to ask the building department if they know of something we could beef up this particular property maintenance to make people pay attention.
Well, could we add penalties for
We'll have to-
multiple violations?
But we had agreed to that last time. We said the first time it's this, second time it's this, and third time it's 300.
I have to look at the code and see if there's, are fines in the code. I'll do that.
Yeah, but we
I think
agreed to
they're
that, remember?
probably-
We said,
yeah.
you go second time, there's more money,
I
third time,
just
more
don't
money.
know if we need a local law amendment or whether,
It was a $250 fine if it was a litter involved, but the grass cutting, I'm not sure.
let me look at that. and I'll-
Okay.
We need to approve next on the agenda, we need to approve the workplace violence program. I think that you were all given that document. And hopefully we do approve it. And before we do, I want to commend the staff downstairs, in particular Mary, who really did a lot of work in putting this program together. So kudos to Mary. Can we approve it?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey to approve the workplace violence program.
so you got it.
I'll second that.
Second by trustee Ramus. All in favor?
Aye.
All in favor? What?
Well, there was one point that I had penciled in on the hard copy. There's a discrepancy between calling 911 versus 446 for 911. So I would add the 446 for 911 in there in addition to 911, since we do have our own dispatch.
Gina?
I got that. I'll have Mary make that change.
And-
I'm sorry, I missed the motion.
No, we're going to amend the motion. We're amending it anyway, so
Okay.
go ahead. I need another
I'll
motion.
make a motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Murphy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We have on the agenda the resignation of police officer Roberto Zayas, effective May 15, 2017. Be it advised that on May 15, 2017, I am retiring from my position as part-time police officer with the Village of Highland Falls Police Department. After 20 years of service, it is time to concentrate on my other career and spend more time with my family. I enjoyed my time here, and I am happy to be able to finish my last 5 years with a great bunch of people and in a great village. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve the people of Highland Falls. I wish you nothing but the best. Please be safe and keep moving forward. Bobby Zayas. Is that it?
I'll make a motion on that, and I want to thank him for his time.
Is there a
That's
second?
long time.
Second.
Second by trustee Howard. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next on the agenda is a recommendation from Sergeant Jason Torpy, officer in charge. I am recommending that the village board appoint Christina Iglesias as part-time dispatcher with our department. She has approximately 2.5 years in emergency services with the Town of Highlands Ambulance Corps. I recommend that her starting salary be $12.12 an hour with 52-week minimum probation.
Sure,
Maximum.
trustee,
Maximum probation.
I'm sure trustee Lindsay agrees with me that she is a great individual, would be an asset.
Absolutely, absolutely.
killer.
She's terrific. She's my Thursday night partner.
Motion, please.
Oh, Mark, do you want to do it?
I'll make a motion.
I'll
Motion,
second.
seconded by trustee Murphy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have to renew a contract for cleaning with Eva's Cleaning. With your permission, this comes from the purchasing agent. With your permission, we would like to renew our contract with Eva's Cleaning Service for the fiscal year 17-18. Eva has quoted the same price as before, which is $600 every 2 weeks to clean the village hall and the police station per the scope of work, plus $100 per call out for emergency cleaning of the holding cell. You have her duties on the next page. She does a good job.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Trustee Ramus made it, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, you see a memo to the mayor and to the board from Kevin Hurst, Water Department, John Jones wastewater plant. For the chemical bid awards. Anyone here from the water or sewer plant? Recommendations, so we had several bidders on different chemicals. On page 3, you can see that. And you'll see who came in the low bidder on each item. Chlorine, lime, sodium, soda ash. So what you have on the front page is the low bidders. You see on the bottom, Slack Chemical Company did not meet all the contents, even though he was lower, he doesn't get the bid. We could approve those low bidders, recommended by Kevin and John.
I'll make a motion to approve the bids.
Second.
Motion by trustee Murphy, second by trustee Howard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, guys, getting a lot done. Next, we have, let's set the fiscal year, ending the fiscal year by paying the bills and claims. A special meeting, which it will be all that's done at that meeting, and we're changing the date that's on the agenda to 5/26. And we were batting around different times. Are we saying 9 or 1? You're saying 9?
9 works the best.
Yeah, no, that's what it is.
9 a.m.
Okay, so the next special meeting to pay bills and claims will be May 26 at 9 a.m. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by trustee Ramus, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Chemical bids we did, grass cutting. We did.
Not grass
No, we
cutting.
can do grass. We can do grass.
What is it? Grass cutting, okay, right here. So we received 4 quotes for grass cutting. And Jimmy, you asked me a question, and there it is on page 2, which is nice. We received 4 quotes for grass cutting for the year 17-18. After opening and review by the purchasing agent and myself, Gary Boyce, I recommend we accept the quote of $12,595 from Hudson Seal Coat and Landscaping. They are the low bidder, and I can tell you, they were here a few years ago, and they did, I will say excellent, not good, excellent. The next highest bidder would be $2,000 more, then $5,000 more, and then quite a bit more. So the $12,595 by Hudson Seal Coat is the best, and they're very good.
So we'll give the high bidder business with the property.
You can do that. Can I have a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion.
Hudson Seal Coat. Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Howard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have bills and claims for 16-17 in the amount of $62,114.24. And I just want to pick out a couple here. Sometimes it's to show you how this adds up. We had some chemicals that we needed, almost $2,600. More chemicals that were needed, $2,500. Orange and Rockland, $12,251. Now, when you see that, that's not for village, that's for all of our sewer plant, for which we're gonna save a lot of money down there once we get this other heating part done. Some more chemicals, another $2,000. You see a lot of smaller ones. Sludge removal from the wastewater plant, $1,529. And fuel, $1,093. So, and here's a $15,000 one that went to the Independence Day Committee. The village was holding this amount of money, and a voucher was submitted by the treasurer, and this will be transferred where it belongs over to the 4th of July Committee. So that's some of the bills that I read.
Motion to pay all bills.
Okay. $62,114.24. Motion by trustee Murphy. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Livesey. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Let's do public comment.
Go back
What
to
about
the
the fire department? We were going to go back to.
Oh, yeah, we need to allow those trucks. Who has that handy? Okay, thank you, Charlie. So, can I have a motion to allow the utility number 430 and car 2 to attend the Stony Point Wet Down on June 3rd? And could I have permission on June 10th to attend another wet down in Monroe? Same truck, 430, but car 1. Permission to utility 430 and car 1 to attend the Hudson Valley Volunteer Firemen's Association in Lake George on June 15th through the 18th, knowing what West Point will be covering for us.
Those events are a must.
Motion?
Yeah.
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second? Trustee Howard, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion against? Motion carried. Public comment? Yes.
I'm Laura Milsom. I live at 105 Center Street, so I am directly behind and next to one of the derelict properties that was discussed tonight. Just so you know, this has been an ongoing problem for years, many, many years. The property in front of us, since the derelict house that was there was removed, has had that grass issue ongoing.
Oh, that's the place?
Yeah, well,
Where that house
that's,
was?
and then the one next to it as well.
To the-
If you're standing at my house,
To the
it's
right.
left.
To the left?
It's been vacant for at least a year now, that property.
Oh, okay,
So-
but if I'm standing in the road looking at your house, it's to the right?
yes.
Okay, I know what
Yep,
you mean.
Yep. So that was just a quick aside. I am one of the 3 people that was appointed to the police commission last year, and I'd like to thank trustee Lizzie, first of all, for acknowledging our work at the last meeting. I very much appreciated it. Secondly, there were 2 articles in the Times Herald Record, and they were quoting you as a source, Mayor Joe. And I just want to say it said that the commission cost $15,000, including a salary for a chairman, and small stipends for the other 2 commissioners. That was in both.
And it did
articles.
not cost, and there was no stipends that I know of to,
That's,
Yeah.
all I
And
wanted to say was, as a
yeah.
matter of public record, I
Yeah, and
never
I-
received a penny for anything that I did on the police commission, and if I was supposed to, we don't want it, we'd like it to go to the center. So
well,
if
there
that
is
was,
no stipend,
Okay.
and I called the reporter on that.
okay,
I did say the first thing, but not that second thing.
okay. I just wanted to clarify, I
No, no
never
problem.
received any money on
No
that.
problem.
Then I received a letter in the mail from Sergeant Torpy regarding the cards, shields, badges, or other items that might have been, given to us for identification purposes, and I never received that, nor did I ask for it. So I just want to be on the public record that I am not holding any now defunct police commissioner's ID. Then I just wanted to say, we've been asking for years for state signs that say state law, you have to stop for pedestrians in the crosswalks, years and years and years and years, the 10 years we've lived here, because we walk across those crosswalks with our 3 dogs every day, multiple times, and inevitably, multiple cars go through us, even as we are halfway across the road. And so I work in Cornwall, they have those state signs that sit in the road everywhere. And at virtually every crosswalk, if you go to Cornwall, you'll see one of those big white and orange signs warning people to stop. And I think we really need to invest in that. And my last comment is...
Are those the ones in the road?
Yeah.
Yeah, we tried it here. You think they're flat when they're standing up? You should see them when the car's
I know, but maybe, I don't know.
Some
if there's-
places we could put
I
them,
don't
like
know if
down by
there's
the
an
Grand
alternative.
Union.
Yeah, I don't know if
you
there's an alternative
Yeah.
way of displaying them, other than because our roads are narrow, but Cornwall and Hudson is very narrow as well, and they still put them
There
there
should
as
be
well.
one down here, because
It's bad, it's really bad.
I would like to note in response to this subject that Cornwall does a real, I won't call it a sting operation, but they set it up. So there are like 5 crosswalks in a row.
Yes.
And they take it really seriously. Anyone in any portion of the crosswalk, you do not roll through or you get a ticket.
It's just a comment that I've noticed here. And also, on the issue of the code violations, we have, it's my understanding with the code that businesses are not allowed to block their windows so that you cannot see what's going on inside. And we have multiple businesses that have pictures, cardboard and other items, posters and things completely blocking all of the windows, both on Mountain Avenue and here on Main Street. And I just wanted, if we could verify whether that is in fact a code violation, and if it is a code violation, I think that should be handled. It not only looks terrible, but you also don't know what's going on in some of these bodegas if you can't see in there, right?
Absolutely.
it is a violation.
Thank you.
Charlie, you take
Yeah,
care of
writing it down.
Just to let you know, one thing is and I'd like to meet with the mayor, our consultant Ken, and Sergeant Torpy with speeding, running the stop signs, loud music, stopping in the middle of the road. A lot of these things have been going on, and we're going to be on that.
John, or Jim, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I would say John.
It's my brother.
I know that.
Thank you. Jim Ogden, Highland Falls Chamber of Commerce also. I was doing a little homework while we were talking, and it goes to Laura's comment that it's in the code, chapter 170, paragraph 176, talks about regulations. 170-7 is enforcement, 170-8 are penalties. And so I would encourage the board, I would encourage Bruce to look at that, because the village is leaving money on the table. And there are fines, daily fines, for failure to make amends to whatever the violations are, increasing amounts of fines. I have this here, Elise, if you want to look at it. And also there's the possibility of imprisonment. Code enforcement can be done by the enforcement officer, Bruce. It can also be done by our police officers. Anyone who has an enforcement authority within the village can do that. So I think there's a lot of opportunity here. We've talked a lot about cleaning up Main Street. We've talked a lot about buildings, structures, residents. It's literally right here. And I think it's just a matter of maybe taking a deep dive. Charlie, I don't know if I'd be happy to help you with that. But we take a deep dive in this whole thing. I don't think there's anything that needs to be rewritten. I think it's a matter of enforcement. But it's all right there. I was just looking at it when we were talking about this with the other properties. One final thing I'd like to mention, not associated with the Chamber of Commerce, the Marina project.
The consultant is ready, within about another week or so, is ready to deliver his final report. I just want to, and if you want to get back to me on this, because I don't want to ask a question, but if there is a time or place that would be good, the next step is for this to be presented to the village board or the quorum of the board in terms of what their findings are. And then we need to have a discussion about what next steps, and the next steps. So just let me know what works out good for you, and I'll set that up. Okay?
Thank you.
Jen, you brought up a good point, but I just want to find out from the attorney about the code violation. If the building department issues that violation, who gets the money? Is the town or does the village?
If it's a violation in the village gets the money.
Okay, great.
And that's what I'm looking at, is village.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Who's
thinking,
getting the
too.
money?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I mean,
Okay.
there's
If it was a
potentially a lot
violation
of,
in the town would get the money.
Perfect, okay.
I mean, just walk up and down Main Street and you see a lot of violations
Yeah.
of buildings, and there's a paragraph here for stores and empty storefronts. And after 30 days, that's when the clock starts, and if after 30 days, things aren't remedied, the ticker starts ticking.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay, thank you very much.
Pat Flynn, 1 Waller Avenue. The commander of the American Legion wasn't able to be here tonight because he's working. He was unable to get the paperwork in for Memorial Day, which is coming up. Nothing has changed since last year. So I did want to, he called me and asked me, nothing's changed, I'll have the paperwork in tomorrow morning if it's okay with the board. I understand you only have it at the meeting. Same time, same everything.
That's right.
I just want to make sure that's okay. Also, the EDC, the Economic Development Corporation, which the Marina project started with, that's what we do. We do projects, we do research, and then you bring it to the village board for them to say whether they want to do it or not. That's exactly what the LDC does. So the EDC is going to do a brick walk fundraiser for Royal Park. And I talked to Brian Albert, who's the DPW liaison, about it. And I wanted to let the board know that we're going to hopefully begin this week or next week, just like they did at Lady Cliff Park, selling of the bricks, and then use that money to fix up the Royal Park Pond area. We applied for a couple of grants last year and the year before, or last year. They didn't come through, and we're still doing that. That's one of the projects that the EDC is working on right now, along with several others. The LDC has never asked for any money, just so we're clear. They're exactly like the EDC. What they do is they investigate projects, and they do projects concerning the village or town. If the village or town doesn't want to do it, then it's not done. It's up to the village board if it affects the village. That's it. There is no behind the doors things. The meetings have always been open. The information has always been out there. And this resolution, in the back end, as Trustee Murphy pointed out, basically says we don't want anything coming from the High Point utility. We don't like that. Well, right at the end of my administration, the High Point utility investigated a project called Demand Response. We signed paperwork right at the end of my administration, and the village will now benefit $50,000 to $70,000 a year for doing little to no work, which is the turning on the generators 2 to 3 times a year for an hour or two. That's one of the projects that came to this community because of High Point Utility. Didn't come from anyone else. And High Point Utility also brought it to West Point. They're going to save a bundle. We're looking to try and help the entire community. That's the point. It's not some separate group. And bottom line, it has been from day one a separate charitable group. That's what we're looking to do. Just so you know, if you have any questions, John Dodson is fully informed, obviously. Myself, there are 8 other board members, and I know that John's approached you, Merv, and I'm excited that you're going to get educated in what's been going on and what will go on. This is a fantastic organization that can make a lot of improvements to the community because they have engineers and lawyers and other standing members of the village and the town. So I just want to give you And that's it.
Point of clarification, too, John Dodson is a volunteer, he's not a
Yes.
voting member of the board.
There are no paid members. There's no, what's been going on is volunteers. And hundreds of thousands of man hours have been put in because we want to see the community better. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's me, Cooks Lane, Highland Falls.
Excuse me?
Anyhow, I saw that you were talking about zombie properties. I'm very, I have a lot of knowledge on that. I know Grace can probably tell you, and I just went to the town board just to remind them what they can do. So anyhow, New Windsor found a solution to their problem about zombie houses. Banks don't care about a couple $100. They have tons and tons of money. So what New Windsor did, and I'm hoping that we'll do here, every time there's a grass cut, or grass cut needs to be done in a zombie house, they charge them $1,000 for each violation, and that gets their attention really quick. And they remedy it very quickly. And it actually is a money-making thing for the village. So instead of you hiring somebody and then re-levying, still, it's costing you time, money, paperwork, and, adding to the work of the building inspector. So if you charge them $1,000 per incident violation, that would definitely send a message. Like I said, banks have billions and billions of dollars, so they don't care about a couple hundred. If you send them a bill for $1,000, like they are doing in New Windsor, it sends a message. And New Windsor had a huge issue, and by them doing this, it remedied it very quickly. And also, I know, Elise, I don't know if you have done any other research about Governor Cuomo's zombie violation laws,
Yes, I've
$500 a day. Do you know if he has it come to issue, are they able to issue that out?
Well, the real property tax law was modified, and it's fairly complicated, but the bottom line is that the banks and any mortgage holder has to maintain the property. There's a whole schedule of if it's abandoned, over a period of like every 35 days or at least 3 times, the bank has to determine whether or not it's abandoned. The other way to do that is to have the building inspector issue a finding of abandonment. That starts a clock that allows them being the mortgage holder, to accelerate foreclosure, because what happens is a lot of people just abandon, all right? I'm not aware that the legislation has addressed any kind of premiums in terms of fines for abandoned or zombie properties. But I do have a memo on this issue that I think I sent to the prior board, and I will send it out again.
Because I believe they said it was a fine of up to $500 per day.
Okay.
And we do have, between the town and the village, I do believe we have maybe 100, 110, but it fluctuates because the banks know about this law and they're trying to get rid of these houses, they're selling them dirt cheap. So it does fluctuate. So again, so here in the village, if we have, and you have to really look at them, you might have maybe a good 60 of them. So 60 times 1,000, that's a nice chunk of change. And it can go a long way to help shore up some stuff. So, and it'll send a message to the banks. And again, with that, Cuomo actually did that law. It wasn't really to punish them. What it actually its basic intent was to save people from being thrown out of their homes. So they figured if a person's in debt or in trouble being thrown out of the house, the bank will work with them rather than to, them saying deal with an empty house and getting a huge fine. So, but,
All right,
let's be
thank you.
thinking.
Thank you.
Can I ask you, you sound pretty knowledgeable on this, Kathy, so, what are the ramifications of just singling out the banks for the fine and not private property owners who, let me finish my thought, would fall in that same category of not maintaining their property?
I don't think many homeowners here, we don't have that many that actually do. I'm talking about zombie houses. These houses are in really, I live next door to
No,
two.
and I understand, I was just wondering if that was addressed.
I'm trying to, I'm not sure.
It wasn't addressed.
Okay, all right.
And the issue, I'll just bring a little clarification. until the banks foreclose and take title, they do not own the property. So what this addressed, Kathy's correct, when people receive a notice of foreclosure, they have to be told in no uncertain terms that they do not have to leave their house until it goes through the foreclosure process, which can take 2 to 3 years, because this is a judicial foreclosure state. So it has to go through. One of the things that this law does is it allows that 2 to 3 year period typically required to be truncated somewhat by the bank so they can get the property sooner. The bank must maintain the property once they issue that notice of foreclosure and the property is being abandoned. So the fines, are kind of up to the municipality. There are some guidelines. So I can certainly, Kathy's right, it's, it's an important piece of legislation, and I will reissue that. In fact, NICOM sent out a very good summary of that update to the law.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes.
Yeah, Jim DeSalvo, your county legislator and resident of Highland Falls. Couple things. Just want to thank the mayor and the board for approving the CDG money, Community Development Grant money. We had a meeting with the Community Development a couple weeks ago. Mr. Mayfield, who's the commissioner, meeting went very well to talk about the sidewalk plan that you folks approved. We're looking for $150K. I think that we have a very, very good shot at getting it, so I feel positive about that. Another thing was brought up tonight about radios, and Eric can add to this. By the end of 17 or 18...
And it was in my chief's report.
Yeah. Don't go looking for grant money for radios. The county's purchasing radios for fire, police, for the town and the village, Fort Montgomery Fire Department, Highland Falls Fire Department, EMT. All new portable radios, new station radios in the trucks, because we're going to the new system. The county outlaid the money. This is not just for the town of Highlands, it's for the whole Orange County. Every town, department, fire department, EMT, EMS, all are getting new radios. And with that comes a 3-year contract, I think, for service. After that, it'll be the responsibility of the municipality to pick up more serviceable time.
And to be fair, initially the county did not want to do that.
Right.
They wanted the municipalities. There was big pushback from the chiefs and stuff.
Yeah.
Jimmy's a member of the fire department, Kevin Hines.
Yep.
We had some integral people, but they did a lot of groundwork to say this is not gonna go unless you fund it correctly,
Yeah.
just like Rockland did, and a lot of support from Steve Newhouse and the legislature.
I think it-
Above $30 million,
unanimous, yeah. It's a lot of money.
And we're ordering our radios right now, so it's happening.
Thank you.
Yeah.
To that point, the Emergency Preparedness Committee was talking about the radios in the short term, how the fire department can loan handhelds to the police so they can talk to the town.
There may be once all, because this came up in committee, there may be once all the radios are issued for the municipalities, came up for certain different organizations, emergency preparedness, that there may be a way that you guys can go in and get it at a cost, or they may issue you guys one to...
Well, it sounds like it's imminent.
Oh, yeah.
Do you-
Yeah.
So,
I would say within the next 12 months between now and...
So I'm on the working group for fire. So it's happening, but when you're gonna spend that much money, you gotta make sure it works. So we're gonna get it all, and we're gonna test it during full foliage. So unfortunately, we think we're gonna get everything in like October, and we're gonna have to wait till this time in 18 to fully test it out.
Probably about
But there's
12
a
months.
performance criteria, and they're not gonna cut this check for 30 million until we're sure it works correctly. So
It's a pretty big overhaul to the
Yeah.
communications to try to enhance it. And there's still more towers going up. There's still more work in progress to try to solve some of the communication issues for the county. Because there still is some dead spots. There is, very mountainous region. It works in a lot of different parts out west and northern part of the county where it's flatter, but, we still have mountains to deal with and stuff like that. The last thing I'll make a comment is, as a manager of one of the local banks, not all banks would let their property go. Thankfully, the Walk Hill Valley Federal Savings Zone doesn't have any foreclosures in the town of Highlands. If we did, we would remedy the grass, we'd cut the property, make sure nice, everything looks nice. So, and we don't have billions of dollars laying around, so I just want to hit that. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, I'll take a motion to go into executive session.
I just want to ask a question. Did you set a public hearing for the local law amendment? Just curious, it was just.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. June 5th, right? Yeah.
Oh, before we adjourn, also, could we ask the attorney to investigate and come up with a possible policy or amendment to our code for addressing the music permits for not-for-profits, whether or not we want a sliding scale or, but rather than doing it on a case-by-case basis.
Sure.
We talk about sending.
Sure.
Should I look at trustee?
Yeah. Okay, I'll take a motion to go into executive session on a contract issue.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Merv, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Murphy, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Do you need me to-